Hi everyone, this is a March 2021 Pure Thunder Dragon deck profile. So there's no Chaos or Danger Engine in here at all. So no Danger Monsters, obviously. No Legionnaire, no Wyver Burster, Collapse Serpent, no Chaos Creator, no possibly Chaos Sorcerer. I wanted to see how a Pure Thunder Dragon deck would fare without Colossus, and honestly, it doesn't hold up that much. Without the best extra deck monster of Colossus, it is much harder to summon Titan now, and of course you lose out on the really good Floodgate effect that Colossus has. Instant Fusion is the pretty much best way to go into Titan, and Instant Fusion is limited and not searchable. Also, depending on what you open, there's no guarantee that you will have a quick effect Thunder Dragon monster in your hand for Titan's destruction effect to be live anyway. So to interrupt the opponent at all, you have to rely on your hand traps and traps. Based on what deck I'm profiling, I sometimes like to mention the meta relevance of the deck and talk about how it fares against the other top decks, but here with Pure Thunder Dragon, that part of the discussion isn't that important, seeing that this deck's end boards and interruption potential are pretty underwhelming. Would the deck be stronger with Dangers and Chaos? Yes, almost definitely, but is it cool still how it is now? I think so, and I think even if you build a Pure Thunder Dragon deck better than what I'm about to show you, it's still, regardless, going to have a hard time competing. So here it is. So 3 darts. Discard to put it in the graveyard and then search another copy of itself, which is a common theme among some of these Thunder Dragons. Important to note that Dark's effect is quick, so it will trigger your Titan on your opponent's turn. The second effect adds if it is banished, which can happen through a Lupine or a Lure of Darkness, or banishing to summon Duo. Or if it's summoned from the graveyard, you search as well after you special summon it with Hawk or Roar, probably. In Duel Links, you might even tribute summon this card once in a while, but in the TCG, you're almost never going to tribute summon. 3 Hawks. So this card is how you bring out one more monster, most probably for the summon of Predaplant Verte Anaconda if you're early on in the game, or you still need Titan. The second effect lets you draw new cards to replace your former ones, so you'll have a shot of getting a better normal summonable monster that is better suited to your hand or your opponent's setup. So if you possibly need the Floodgate of Thunder King Ryo, Hawk gives you a chance of getting it from your deck. 3 Roars. So this card is how you recur Hawk to special summon again, or also Duo if you need the beater again. If you banish this card off of a Lure of Darkness, it is a free summon from the deck. 3 of the OG Thunder Dragon, which only has the effect of searching 2 other copies of itself. But if you shuffle this card, or the one that you discarded originally into the deck with Thunder Dragon Fusion, you can actually discard one of the 2 other ones to search it back in the same turn because it is not a hard once per turn to search. More generally, this card is a deck thinning tool and a way to load your hand with Thunder monsters for cards like Titan and also a Lupine. 3 Matrix. So having a quick effect that you can use during the damage step makes it immune to being responded to, usually. And this card can boost Thunder Dragon, some of which already have high attack. This card also searches itself, like a lot of them do, so you'll have a better chance of triggering Titan on your opponent's turn. 3 Aloof Lupine. I have a lot of 2-ofs in this deck, but I thought Aloof Lupine was a good card to play at 3 because the whole deck revolves around the banish mechanic. So if you can banish a Dark from your hand and a Roar from your deck, you can pull off a search and a special from the deck in the same chain. Unfortunately, this effect only works on normal summon. 2 Solar. So build up your graveyard to be revived by Hawk or summon a token. Before, the token would help to go into Colossus sometimes, but it can still be used now to go into some Summer Summoner. 2 Denko Sekka. So because Titan needs you to banish a generic Thunder monster from your hand, I think it's a good idea to put some of the best generic Thunder monsters. I'll just show the Ryo as well. Both of these cards are great against certain decks, but unless you have some Summer Summoner, you're going to have to normal summon these cards. Ryo is actually especially good, seeing that it's a fairly common tactic in this deck to run 3 copies of Mistake in the main deck anyway. One duo, so I only run one duo because it can be recurred with Roar pretty easily, and it can break your hands early on. This card is great not only for banishing, but also searching any Thunder monster, not just a Thunder Dragon. And 3 Ash Blossom. So like I said, with the lack of interruption in this deck, Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence are important cards to keep you in the game. 3 Thunder Dragon Fusion. This is a much more reliable way to summon Titan because you can just use 3 Thunder Dragon monsters instead of actually having a Thunder Fusion monster on the field. This card also searches any generic Thunder monster, just like Duo does. With Versa Anaconda, you can reliably send this card to the graveyard to summon Titan, provided that you really don't brick and have a bunch of normal summonable monsters and you just don't have the materials to make a Versa Anaconda. 3 Lore of Darkness, so great draw power in decks that can run it, and especially good in this deck because banishing is so vital to the archetype. So you pretty much get a free Thunder Dragon second effect when you use this card. 1 Gold Sarcophagus, Instant Fusion, Harpy's Feather Duster. So these last 3 are one of the obvious limited cards. The extremely necessary Instant Fusion. Opening Instant Fusion means that you don't need to go into Versa Anaconda, so you can use your materials for something like IP Masquerena for a better response to your opponent's turn. So while it does make sense that Instant Fusion is limited for Master Rule 5, it is kind of unfortunate for this particular deck that you can only run 1. Harpy's Feather Duster, Gold Sarcophagus. Especially Gold Sarcophagus in this deck is a staple. And 3 Infinite Impermanence. So while Impermanence is better than Effect Veiler generally, I was thinking about running a Veiler instead for the off chance that you do have your normal summon left that turn, and you can summon Veiler alongside your Hawk or Roar to summon Dawn Dragster for a little bit more interruption. That might be something you want to look into if you're building this deck. So for the extra deck, the must-play Fusion monsters. So Titan really is not as devastating at all as Colossus, but if you can save your Matrixes and Darks for your opponent's turn, it is actually a quick effect that can occur during the damage step, and it doesn't target as well. It's also a beater with decent protection too. It's hard to win the game with 1 Titan, but if you get lucky and see Thunder Dragon Fusion, Instant Fusion, Versa Anaconda, a lot of these combinations of those cards, you can possibly end up with 2 Titans on the field at once. The OG Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon is in here because if you have access to the Fusion spell, but you only have the 2 original Thunder Dragons to use as materials, this can be your Thunder Fusion monster. And Kaminari Tech is of course, the instant fusion target that helps go into Titan much more easily. So I have a lot of generic links in this deck, but a few of these link monsters are actually important to the specific strategy of this deck, especially these 3 here. Versa Anaconda, like I said, critical for this deck, seeing the Titan is the major win condition. Summoner lets you revive your generic Thunder monsters with a Floodgate effect or a Summon effect on your opponent's turn, no less, so you can kind of surprise your opponent with a Ryo or a Denko Sekka. Cross Sheep does pretty much the same thing in this deck as some Summoner, but just less easily. Then a bunch of generic monsters here: Masquerena, Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn. These pretty much all go together for certain link plays that you want to make. Quick link summons, removal of sorts. And then 4 link 4s for the last 4 monsters. Unchained Abomination is the most specific to this archetype because you can actually stack your destruction effects together and use it alongside Titan. But all these go with Masquerena for certain situations. So that's pretty much been the Thunder Dragon Pure deck profile for March 2021. The funny thing is that while this deck has pretty much faded away in the TCG, Thunder Dragon is a very powerful deck in Duel Links still, but it's played quite differently with Synchros and XYZs being the focus. Although it's not very strong anymore, this is still one of my favorite archetypes for the coolness factor. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you.